Good morning. So just woken up and the mountains look particularly beautiful today, so I wanted to come outside first thing this morning. Excuse my pimply face, I've been breaking out like crazy. The mountains are looking extra beautiful today. Good morning. Do you want to go make some coffee? So today looks a little bit different. I actually just got back from LA last night. I went back home to go try on my dresses and for the wedding. If you don't know, I got engaged last year and I am getting married June 4th. So I actually went over to Pronovius in Beverly Hills over the weekend to go try on a couple dresses, and this was my last fitting. Apparently I was cutting it a little close to the date, but they were able to make it. I didn't realize how far ahead I had to start wedding dress shopping, and honestly time just kind of flew, and I've been super busy, of course, with Miel Oro and all the other stuff that's going on, so I just kind of slept on it, I guess. So I am going to be playing a lot of catch up today. I have a lot of work to do around more like reporting and financial type of forecasting, I guess you could call it, today. It's not my favorite part, I have to say, but it is something that I've been putting off for a few weeks now, but today is definitely the day. Typically, like I said, Mondays can look a little bit different, just really depending on what I've gotten done this weekend. So this past weekend, obviously I was away in LA, so I didn't have that much time to play catch up. So I also have to work on some content today. And then I also want to start finalizing just like one other piece that I want to launch soon. I have 2 pieces right now, and I think I want to add 1 or 2 more depending on where things are at. So I also want to note that, so I actually always take my bottom earring off. I basically change that earring almost every day. I also don't like sleeping with an earring here because typically I wear my biggest earrings on the first piercing, and I don't know if you guys know this, but oftentimes if you're sleeping, depending on the earring, but oftentimes if you're sleeping with an earring that's a little heavier too, it can actually, that's what can create some of the like dragging or the stretching of your piercing, is that weight that you have on it while you're like slammed up against it. And I do sleep on my stomach too, so I'm always kind of slamming my face into the pillow, which is probably not good, but it's how I sleep. So I generally keep all of my other earrings, all of the ones up here, but I do take the bottom one off every night. I also don't sleep with rings because, like I said, I'm a stomach sleeper, so I put my face right on my hand. Oftentimes I don't want that accidentally, imprinting or scratching me or anything like that while I sleep. I do, however, sleep with my necklaces on. So I was just wondering where Bleeker had gone to, and look at where I found this little pup soaking up the sun. such a beautiful day. I'm excited to get outside. We are planning on going for a hike this morning before it gets too hot. So I just finished getting ready. I'm getting ready to go for a hike. It's pretty warm outside already, actually. So it's gonna be quite sunny and hot up there. So I'm definitely wearing a hat. I just put on some SPF again too. You know, gotta protect the skin, especially because this little one is healing, if I haven't already mentioned it. And I actually put on some earrings as well. I put on my floor twisted hoops, and I like these when I'm doing some kind of like activity like today where I'm just gonna be hiking for a bit. I don't want anything like in the way or anything too bulky. As I said earlier, like I definitely always keep my necklaces on. So, you know, on that hill with my herringbone. And after that, I'm gonna run a couple quick errands. So I'm just gonna go grocery shopping, get some food, and also just a few things that I forgot to bring on this trip. And that's pretty much it. I wanna pick up some food because I actually just started Noom. So I signed up for that yesterday, and I'm excited to see how it goes. Like, these type of apps never really work for me. I'm just not really good about like tracking food and all that stuff. But because of the cognitive behavior side of things with Noom, I'm actually really excited to see how it goes. Obviously, with the wedding around the corner, I really have to like crack down on my food and just trying to eat cleaner and healthier. I'm a huge like sugar fiend. I love sugar, so I feel like that's where it's the hardest for me. Like, I can eat pretty healthy overall, and I generally do. I always exercise because it just keeps my mental health in check and it keeps me in a good place. So exercising has never been a difficult thing for me. Where it has been a challenge is the food aspect, particularly sugar and carbs. Your girl loves bread and sweets. So I'm just trying to clean up my diet, obviously get fitter before the wedding, but also just in general. I always love to start the morning with a little bit of work. Well, while I'm in Palm Springs particularly, I love to start with like getting some of the things that I don't want to do. That is the key for me. Things that I'm like dreading doing or I've been postponing for a while, I will do first thing in the morning and just get it done. And then I will start the day that way and then be able to go through my other tasks that I enjoy much more throughout the day, especially in the afternoon. So I'll see you guys later. We still got another hill to go up, but the scenery up here is absolutely gorgeous. If you can see those mountains far out and the city in between the two mountains, absolutely incredible. And it's so quiet here. My fiance is also here, but he decided to go up a different route. I think he's somewhere up on these ridges. And I decided to come up a different trail that we came up last time, where it's a little bit more of a built out trail versus one that's a little bit more, I guess, off trail. Cute little heart I found. Looks like somebody's initials. I'm out of breath. So this is the other view. We're looking back into the mountains. I started from way down there. It's quite a steep incline up here, but it's pretty freaking peaceful and quiet. Enjoying the peacefulness and the quiet up here. I'm also out of breath. Those hills are no joke, and I'm so sweaty and red. Anybody else get red as a tomato when they exercise? Especially when you're in the sun. It is a 3 cups of coffee kind of day. We just got back from hiking and grocery shopping. It's like 1 p.m. now, so I'm feeling pretty beat. So I'm gonna have a 3rd cup of coffee and get back to work. So I just picked this up from Target. I've been wanting to try this for a while, so I'm actually really excited to see how this is. Only using a tiny splash, so I don't like my coffee to be super sweet. And then I just have to get ready, do some filming. Can't lose the sunlight. Story of my life. So I'm gonna try to get ready as quickly as possible. Well, obviously the light in here is pretty horrible and the vibe is not very cute in here, but that is okay. That is real life. Things aren't as aesthetic as they always seem to be. I always think it's so funny, like oftentimes on Instagram and TikTok, I see how like beautiful some like workspaces and homes sometimes are, and not to say obviously that I don't like my home or something, but my workspace typically is incredibly messy, lots going on, not super cute and dainty. A lot of the times it's more purposeful than anything. So in the plan for today, in regards to some of the content, I just want to basically take a few pictures. I also want to actually go ahead and create a few more reels. I've been trying to really basically, it's really hard to multitask, like talking and doing makeup. I don't know how people do this on YouTube all the time. But yeah, so basically right now I am trying to, for like the last month and a half, maybe actually probably more like 2 months, I've really been focusing on reels and TikToks and creating short form video. I definitely think that that is the future of most media platforms, is short form video. And so I've just been playing around with different styles, different types of videos, trying to see what might work best. Also in the last month or so, I've been focusing around really posting on TikTok, I think like 3 times a day, 7 days a week. And then reels, I've been doing like around 2 a day, most days a week. It's only been about a month, so it's kind of hard to say how performance is doing, but I am excited to see what results might look like after 3 months. So I'm just kind of giving it enough time to actually have enough data to measure like success and the tests that I've been doing. I've actually decided for the time being that I'm gonna pause, or I actually already did, pausing all of my ad campaigns for a bit, and really just focused on organic growing on my marketing. With targeted advertising, or with advertising in general, things can get really, really expensive. So I just want to kind of take a break from that, and just see what success might look like from an organic standpoint if I simply focus on that. So I just finished getting ready. So I always call this like my second shift, because I usually like to crank out a lot more work in the morning, and then I do basically the latter half of my day in the afternoon. So for the rest of the day, I am planning, actually have a lot to do, so I hope I can get through everything, but I am planning on filming some TikTok and reel content. That's why I've actually set up the light now, so I can hopefully get a little bit better light. As I mentioned, the light in here isn't the best, but I'm trying to work with it and just try to make do with what we got. So the last year, so it's gotten kind of confusing in terms of like, what to prioritize. Is it taking photos? Is it taking reels, particularly for Instagram? Is it like stories, etc.? And there's only so much time in the day to be able to create content and be as efficient and be like continuously pumping out something new. So it is exhausting. And, I am the only person working at for Mi Loro. So I am a solopreneur. So I literally do everything from A to Z, from, in terms of like my marketing, content, ideas, strategy, analytics, data, to actually creating, of course, the content. So I film everything myself and I do most of it myself. I do every so often work with influencers, and that is always really, really helpful just to get also obviously exposure, but also to be able to then have content that you can reuse. In the past, I did work with a social media manager, And that was actually really helpful at the time. It didn't quite make financial sense for me. Like the return on the spend wasn't quite there for me. And I think now it's even different, even more different, because with so much of like the short form video type of focus, then it becomes really hard for a social media manager to actually oversee a lot of this. Like, for example, with execution, and also because I'm already creating it, sometimes it can just be a lot easier. And depending on what I'm filming, I might already be filming in the app. So it just has become, I think, a little bit more cumbersome. So it doesn't, even more so now, it doesn't make sense for me to work with a social media manager. I definitely would love to work with one down the road, again, more from the strategy side. But not so much on like the execution side like I did in the past. But yeah, I mean, unfortunately, during that time and in the last 6 months, really, I've had to really strap down from a financial standpoint. I am completely self-funded, so I have basically taken all of my savings from the last couple years and have put this, and more honestly, have put that into my company. At the time, I was actually looking to seek out investment when I actually brought on the social media manager, and that was the reason why it made sense too, because I needed that additional time. So I was doing a lot of outreach and trying to get like meetings with investors and whatnot, but upon further reflection, it just doesn't make sense, and it's also not really the type of company that I want to run for now, at least. And I just don't think that I had gotten really, and even now still kind of figuring it out, but I hadn't gotten to a place where I, from a financial standpoint, where something would truly make sense for an investor. Again, it's definitely something that I want to explore in a few months, maybe halfway through this year or at the end of 2020. I'm not closed off to it. It just didn't quite make sense for me, given my financials and really finding my footing in the market and identifying myself as a brand in the market. So yeah, so I'm just gonna get working on the content creation. Then the latter half of the day, I have to take some classes as well for GIA. I've been kind of procrastinating on it, and I have only like a couple weeks to finish up the course, so I have to crank that out in the next few weeks. And then after that, I also have a therapy session actually in the evening. Then I'm making dinner tonight. I volunteered myself on a really busy day, which is probably not ideal. And then I'm actually catching up with my brother as well, who lives in New York. So a lot to do this afternoon, which is why I am having 3 cups of coffee today. So I'm getting ready to do a little bit of meditation. I feel a little bit overwhelmed right now. I'm just kind of all over the place and a lot of energy now. So I feel like I need to kind of just take a moment and just take a breather. I absolutely love meditation. I do what's called yoga nidra quite often, and generally I will do these in the afternoon almost every day, I would say. So this is like, I would say exercising and doing meditation is like an absolute must for me, just to keep myself from like not feeling incredibly overwhelmed. I'm doing a lot all the time, 7 days a week, you know, and it can get really exhausting. So I definitely have to make a priority to do things that I need to do in order to stay sane and to stay healthy and to stay, you know, pretty content and learn how to manage stress. So yoga nidra I've found to be like incredibly helpful, and I will just do it for like 20-30 minutes. I actually just go on YouTube and I find a specific basically like, it's basically like a guided meditation in a lot of ways, but it's called the Yogi Sleep. So basically it helps you do like a scan. Oftentimes I generally will kind of fall asleep or start to doze off. It's incredibly calming and I just really like it. I've done a few different meditations, whether that be more like guided or even just like a seated quiet meditation. So but I have just found in the last year or so that yoga nidra works the best for me, and I would highly recommend it. Yeah, so I'm gonna do that for like 30 minutes and then I will get back to work. Okay, the light is the absolute worst, but what I was gonna say is that I also sent over, I've already cleaned up all my makeup, as you can tell, got nice and dewy, but I also sent over one other design that I'm super excited about. It is inspired by miel, which is part of my name, Miel Oro honey, and that comes from honeycombs. So that is what I'm taking as an inspiration to create another piece. And I sent over just like some finalized like measurements and a design over to the manufacturer that I work with. The middle bracelet is actually a new bracelet that I am working on right now. I picked up this, I guess you could call it like a prototype slash sample. I picked it up over the weekend. So it does have 3 bezels all the way around. And one thing that I'm really excited about is that I was able to make the chain adjustable as well. So it is 6.5 and 7. So it can adjust your bracelet depending on like whether you want it to sit further down your bracelet or further up your arm, and really just like plays immensely well with other bracelets. All that said, I realized that my measurements didn't quite work for this bracelet. So I was actually just working on finding some better measurements, and what I want to do is actually bring the bezels closer to each other because they're beautiful, basically colorless diamonds, and I want them to be just more forward facing, and I want them to be able to be seen more collectively versus like spread apart. Creating some of these pieces, sometimes the first iteration isn't always like you imagined it to be. So I'm very lucky that I work with someone that is really, really attentive and just like super flexible. It goes along with my trial and errors at times. And yeah, so I'm really excited to be able to launch a few new pieces. I also, on my hike, came up with what I think is going to be the collection name, which is Siempre Collection, stands for always. So let me know what you think. I would love to hear your thoughts around the name of the collection, and of course also the piece. I'm excited to also update you guys once I receive the more finalized pieces. So thanks so much for watching. This is my first day in the life, and this has actually been really fun. I just kind of have to remind myself to film things because I think things can become so repetitive on your day-to-day or very routine. So this has definitely been a way to be able to stop and just kind of take a moment and take a look at what you're doing, etc. And I also wanted to mention that my fiance and I just made a little bet this morning while I was filming. So I've been filming on my cell phone. So I've been using my iPhone to film these YouTube videos. I think it was just a great way to get started. I also wasn't sure if this was something that I was gonna like or that I would be able to make time for. And I'm definitely really enjoying this. So I wanna keep making more videos. So the bet that my fiance and I came up with is that, and once I reach 500 subscribers, I can buy myself a camera. So please help me get to that camera. So don't forget to subscribe, and I will be able to launch another video as well next week. So make sure to stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure to also check out all of my social media. It's all at Mia Loro LA, both on Instagram and on TikTok. So definitely make sure to follow that. And my website is also linked below. Thanks again, and have a great rest of your week. Adios.